Apex Legends rank can be, well, frustrating to say in the least, especially in a game where unexpected variables are a part of the gameplay loop itself. It can make it very difficult to sometimes optimize how much RP you're actually receiving. But there are some ways to help alleviate this, so today I've got 3 tips to help you maximize your RP gains in Apex Legends Ranked. But first, if you really want to maximize RP gains and to get more in-depth guides, make sure to head over to the GameLeap website where we have literally hundreds of guides to help you improve faster. Guides covering fundamentals, advanced movement techniques, advanced legend tutorials, gameplay breakdowns, and so much more. So if you actually want to improve and become insane in the game, I highly recommend you join the GameLeap family to get instant access to all these in-depth guides by checking out the link in the description below. Now for our first tip, and it is a very common one, but probably one of the most important, that's playing with a team. Fact of the matter is, it is much harder to get effective RP gains on a consistent basis when not playing with a team, and that's for a few reasons. A big one is communication. Some people just don't communicate when playing with randoms, usually out of concern of being on the receiving end of toxic behavior, which, by the way, if you are one of those people who are toxic to your teammates, especially because they aren't communicating, you are the very cause of the problem. So have a good look in the mirror. Anyway, people are only human, and many are introverts or have anxiety and just don't want to risk experiencing the toxicity. So sometimes it can be difficult to get into a team that actually communicates, and if a team is not communicating, it can be very difficult to remain on the same page. And that is another reason why having a 3-stack is so helpful, because usually it's with friends or people you trust, and most importantly, synergize with. You are all on the same page and usually won't be trying to do 3 different things at once, which is super important when it comes to ranked. It sounds obvious, but when you are in a group of randoms, it can be hard to really get that synergy going. But when it does happen, it's amazing because the flow of the game is so much smoother, and it helps to alleviate the variables of your quote-unquote teammates, as I said before. We want to remove as many variables as possible, so having a team you are familiar and to play with often is one of the easiest ways to do so. Now, if you are having a hard time finding teammates, I highly recommend you join the GameLeap Discord, where you can find plenty of like-minded people to join you on your journey to get those RP gains. You can also use Apex Legends Discord, or something I might suggest is that when you are playing ranked and get a good match with randoms that you just so happen to vibe with, don't be afraid to ask them to join group. You already got the vibes with them, you already know how they play, you kind of got the vibe, you guys are already on the same page, so you might as well keep it on, you feel me? Alright, our next tip is actually a really important one. Have you ever played rank and started losing over and over again? Well, this is usually problematic because it can actually lead to tilt, and tilt leads to worse gameplay, which leads to losing more RP, which leads to worse gameplay, which leads to tilt, which leads to losing more RP. You see the problem here? It's an endless cycle. So a rule of thumb would be this: if you get 3 loses in a row, just stop playing. Take a break and come back later. You really want to prevent yourself from tilting, and again, the more times you lose, the easier it is to fall into that mindset, and if you do it, it is likely you will only lose more and more RP. Nothing sucks more than being 1 win away from the next rank, say Plat to Diamond for example, only to completely tank all the way back down to Plat 4. This type of thing happens all the time, and often is due to mental state, and matchmaking can play a role as well, but taking a break and walking away for a little bit can do wonders in regards to resetting your mind, and also coming back when the games are possibly less intense makes a big difference as well. So just be sure that you don't fall into that spiral of just tilting and tanking, because it truly sucks. This actually leads me to another point though, and in general it is really important you keep note of your mental state. For example, if you are 1 win away from the next rank after playing for hours, then you lose RP on that next round and start to rage, well, likely you are mentally drained from grinding all day, so trying to force yourself through it to make that next rank likely is only going to work against you. If you can catch it early, that will be a huge and save you a lot of RP. But another example is actually when you have 1 more win until the next rank. I'm sure you're starting to see a pattern here, and you're really excited. There's nothing inherently wrong with being excited to progress. However, this particular situation can make your expectations too high. It can make you care too much about winning, which is another quick way for this to backfire on you. It sounds counterintuitive, but it really isn't. There's plenty of science backing the idea of caring too much causing a negative outcome, or being too competitive causing a negative outcome, compared to when you are just enjoying the ride and having fun. Well, that's when you tend to perform the best, and that results in you reaching your desire naturally. If your expectations are really high and you don't meet them quickly, likely you will fall into that downward spiral. So again, just pay close attention to your mental state and make your gaming session decisions based on that. If you are clearly tired, but you just need 1 more win to hit that next rank, well, that game isn't going anywhere. Rest might be a better option to help guarantee you achieving that win on your next round. Now for our final tip, and this is another really big one, you really need to pay attention to the dynamics of third parties, and rather than being the one getting third party, be the one executing it. A good rule of thumb in general is, if you want to be on the safer side, is to never be the one actually initiating a fight. Instead, only go for fights where you are the one third partying. This can greatly increase your overall success rate as a whole, because you are putting yourself in a position to have strong advantages with each and every single engagement. The wonderful thing about third partying is that it allows you to first get a wide perspective of the situation. You can usually see which team is losing to who if you look carefully using context clues such as the kill feed, the sounds of the corresponding guns to the kill feed, and the positions of the enemy players. Things like this give you so much information, allow you to put yourself in really strong positions, making it extremely difficult for the players you are about to third party to deal with you, and it also makes it easier to end fights quickly, and that in itself reduces the chances of you getting third party. All of that equates to more kills and more RP. It's the easiest way to fight more while reducing the risk of getting team wiped at the same time. However, the opposite is also true. If you are the one always initiating fights, then you are significantly increasing the chance that you will be third party, which in turn increases the risk you are taking in fights. I'm not saying you can't ever initiate fights. Sometimes you won't have a choice in the matter, and sometimes you should. But this is why it is also really important you're paying close attention to the possibility of getting third partied. For example, if you are in a fight for longer than 20 seconds and it's just a poke battle with no real progression towards killing the other team, it is very likely you're going to get third partied and not be prepared for it. At that point, it might be better to just move on, or at the very least reposition in a way that sets you up to be safe for when the third party arrives. Note how I said when, not if. Third party legends, am I right? Which actually leads me to my next point. Third partying the third party. Sometimes it can't be helped and you are going to get third partied even if you were the first one to actually third party another set of teams. That's just the nature of Apex, baby. So it is critical to learn how to deal with third parties overall, and the easiest way to do so is by third partying the third party. Let's say, for example, you are in a fight with another team, but a third party shows up. Well, instead of turning to fight them, pull out of the fight entirely so that the third party engages with the team you were initially fighting, quickly reset and heal, then come back, positioning yourself in a very strong position of power, then attack the team who is stronger at that point. Likely it will be the team who third partied you, but sometimes they will falter to the other team. So you should be looking to work with the weaker team to kill the stronger team by pinching the stronger team between you and the weaker team. Then once they are out of the picture, you can then finish off the weaker team and call it a day. This probably sounds a bit more complicated than it actually is, but as long as you have strong fundamentals, this will be surprisingly easy to pull off most of the time. But I still need to mention, things won't always go according to a script. Battle Royales are games of RNG, so always keep that in mind. Just do your best to put yourself in a position of always being at an advantage, and that will help you manage those variables much more effectively. That has been our tips for maximizing RP. What would you add to the list? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Johnny. Okay, love you, bye.